Hey everybody, before you listen to the show, two quick things. I hope you and your loved ones are safe, happy and healthy. Secondly, stop right now. If you haven't already, check out our free to access conveyancing service for mortgage brokers and estate agents. Mortgage brokers must check out our free to access services at themortgagebrokerclub.co.uk, including over 25 categories of mortgage broker tools. Stay well, and I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the MLC show for property professionals. I am your host, Sean Rogers, and I am delighted to be joined on today's show by Chris Targett, the founder of Social for Brokers. Chris has been undertaking design projects for clients for nearly a decade now, and with his background in estate agency, his knowledge of the property market enables him to help brokers create relevant content, which will in turn increase interaction on brokers' social media channels. Chris, how are you? How has this year been for you so far?
Very good, thanks. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you inviting me on. Last 12 months, I think like everybody, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, hasn't it, to be honest? I got put on furlough from an estate agent, well, obviously a year ago, the first day that it was allowed, and I just went full steam, really. That was so the last 12 months have been like 12-hour days building this business, but love doing it. So it's been a great last 12 months, mate. Thank you.
Well, following on from that, prior to creating Social for Brokers, what was your career like? What were your experiences like in the lead up to before actually creating Social for Brokers?
So I worked in golf for a while when I was 15 until I was about 25, 26, I think it was, and I did a web design course at college, one of these night school courses. Absolutely loved it because I've always been into IT, been a bit of a geek really with computers. Used to code on my MySpace page and all those kind of things. So I did a web design course at night school and had a little like design business on the side, doing friends' websites, helping people with a bit of their social media. And that's what really got me into it. I then started chatting away to a mortgage broker who worked at the estate agent that I was at, and she needed some help with social media, so I started to help her with that, and it gained a lot of traction over a few months. And she said to me, Chris, you should offer this as a service. I know so many brokers that would want this service. And yeah, that's how it started, really. Kind of drummed up the name Social for Brokers. But a funny story, actually, I'll tell you. I worked for a big corporate estate agent once, and this was 2014, just when I'd started with them. And I said to the boss at the time, who's a very good friend now, I said to her, what we need to do is to build this local brand for the estate agents. I know we're a big corporate company, but if we can build this local brand, I think we're going to win in years to come. So she said, yeah, I believe in you. I set up all the pages, like I think it was Facebook, Twitter, and it wasn't Instagram at the time, maybe it was LinkedIn. I set those up, came in the day after, and head office had said, nope, not allowed it. We do everything from head office, and deleted all the pages. And then I thought, wow, you've got to think a bit more local. And I'll get into it in a bit, but it just shows how now those corporate companies are trying to build a local brand, and the mindset's completely shifted.
Yeah, before we go into all of that, I must say I noticed your golf clubs in the room. With line of duty being so big at the moment, and you're saying you spent time in golf, are you the caddy? Are you H? You've worked in computers, PCs?
I've never watched, well, I watched maybe the first series of Line of Duty, but I've got people that are trying to find pubs on a Sunday that are showing it. It's like them watching.
Really?
Yeah, people are like where they're playing a Line of Duty on Sunday. But no, I don't know any of Line of Duty, so I do apologise. But yeah, I've played, well, my mum's Scottish.
But if you were the villain in Line of Duty, that's exactly what you would say.
Is that how it is it?
Basically, yeah. In terms of looking over the past year, especially with not just what you specialize in your expertise, but also what you absorb as well, and what you can instinctively smell in the market. What have you made of any changes to human behavior in the past 12 months, particularly in relation to maybe how clients and brokers, or even clients and estate agents, would interact with each other? Do you think any of them are going to be permanent, or do you think some people say things go back to normal? I'm not quite sure what that means.
I think one word we can all agree on is the word Zoom. it's completely changed everybody's outlook, whether it be, people are going to use Teams and Google Hangouts and things. But I think people have been a lot more accepting of video calls now and video content in terms of property. So if I cover the online meetings first, if you think of a couple of busy parents that have children and they need to get to a mortgage broker's appointment at 6 p.m, they've got to arrange to get the kids looked after, they've got to get them fed, they've got to ship them off to the grandparents, then they've got to drive to the office and sit down with the mortgage broker. Within 5 minutes, the head's buzzing. Then they've got to go home, get the kids. It's a 3-4 hour process. Whereas with a Zoom call now, you can sit in the living room, put the kids on the PlayStation, and they've only got to use an hour of their time with the mortgage broker. So that's where I think people have accepted it. And I think that will become a lot more of the norm for people. There will be people that want to see face to face. But then on the property side of it, a lot of people are a lot more open to video tours now. And I think they've got to be proper video tours. Like I've seen some properties that say video tour and it's just a slideshow of the images. I'm not there to watch a PowerPoint, mate. I want to watch a proper video. And the property that I'm renting now, I never saw it because it was during lockdown, and it forced me. I had to watch a video and make a decision. So that's where it will change. A lot more people will want to see videos of properties, but a lot more people are used to social media now. I've got kind of family members that had never been on Facebook up until last year. Lockdown, bored, let's get on Facebook and have a look. So there's a lot of things online that have changed, and they will stick. And I think Zoom calls and property videos are the two main ones that are going to stick with people.
Yeah, it's certainly a huge, convenience element to that. And I think I'm surprised it's taken that long. But like you say, all of us now, it's funny how expectations change. I heard a great story from years ago about an American businessman who was taking a flight from Australia to America, and they announced, much to his dismay on the runway, that they thought they were going to be one of the first ever planes to have full high-speed Wi-Fi for the entire flight.
All right.
So you could actually have your devices on and everything else. And he was devastated. He was like, this is the one chance I get where I haven't got a million phones ringing off, emails going off. I've got business interests all over the world. Like, I actually look forward to this little spell where I can just try and switch off. We said, anyway, people on the plane were like in hysteria. It was unbelievable. This was a miracle. Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously there were delays taken off, and then they were stuck on the runway. So actually from this announcement being made, I think about an hour had passed, and then about 25 minutes into the flight, the Wi-Fi went down. And there was carnage, complaints, people kicking off. And it was interesting that, from a slightly different, on a bit of a tangent from what we were discussing just before, what was a miracle an hour and a half before had very quickly become an expectation, and then almost a disappointment. And something that I sort of that can see happening as a bit of a journey, which has taken probably a couple of decades to go through, is that we are finding with various brands and various operations now that we don't have to dance around them to get what we want, even in stupid things. So like previously, you would have to walk the chippy, queue up, get your food, go back. Then you could phone ahead, maybe collect, but you've still, going out in whatever British weather and probably still queuing and wondering why you phoned ahead in the first place. And now, you literally go on an app and get it delivered. Don't leave your own home. Do it when you want to do it. And I think in other sectors, you can go start to finish in various, various different sectors, I suppose. But you can go start to finish pretty seamlessly, can't you? And you probably accept it when you're dealing with a Sky or a BT or someone like that because of the sheer size of an operation. I suppose you give them an unfair amount of leeway when it comes to delays, getting in touch with them. But when you're in something like estate agent, some mortgage broker, that kind of industry, you've got, I can see the level of responsiveness, the level of convenience, which, you're referencing there in Zoom. Like you say, people have got jobs, they've got family commitments, whether it's kids or not. Then you've got hobbies, you've got to keep, all these kind of things factoring in. Sort of being able to be digitally agile and extremely convenient. Plus, when you look at what some of the big brands are going to be doing, I've got no doubt. I believe from 2022 onwards, you'll be allowed to sign land registry deeds and documents digitally for the first time, and it'd be properly binding.
It's only 15, 20 years late, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Instead of, I'm surprised we don't still send land registry documents via bloody carrier pigeon. Like the HM land registries, when I worked in the estate agents, even some of the like solicitors are saying, no, we need it faxed. And you think things have to move forward. And this is what the pandemic has done. I think it's fast forwarded us 5 years, even more than that, I think, because there's no way that people would accept video calls if they wanted to. Some brokers will say, I only do video calls now, which is understandable. You can do. If you'd have said that 2 years ago, there'd been outrage. I remember being at the corporate estate agency we had a mortgage broker in the office, and you'd obviously book appointments for them. And I'd say, this person, they can't come in on this day, but they're free on the phone Friday. They're down in London, but they really want to speak to you. No, it has to be face to face. And I'm thinking, surely you can do a telephone appointment just to get the initial conversation. No, it has to be face to face. And they almost force people into it. Whereas now, they'd be jumping at the chance. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying I've been right in the past. I'm just saying it's fast forwarded that process and it's forced people into doing so.
Yeah, on a personal level, the last year, and I'm still fighting this daily, I use a system called Callumly, which a mate of mine got me into. So that, in essence, what you can do with your diary is you can basically set aside whatever time you want for doing whatever administration it might be or work that you want to do, and you can select the times of day when you will be available or when you think you should be available, in essence, to take calls. So it's really effective because people can use that link for various, and you can set up loads of different types of meetings, and you can book a call in, and hypothetically what it will do is send you both a meeting invitation, go in your in whatever diaries for both participants or however many participants you're involving in the process, text reminders or email reminders, things like that. So for me, it's a phenomenal, because it's interesting with me. I've got some people at sort of decision maker level who have taken to that like a duck to water, and they kind of use that and understand it and actually are putting it into their own businesses now because they can see how effective it is. I've got other people who literally will want to play email tennis with me for however many weeks and then go into an old school Outlook system to try and book something in. And it's like, have you got any idea the resources we've wasted in doing this email tennis? Because I try and be polite and say, if you want to come back to me with dates, you can. I'm just not going to do it anymore. I'm going to be like, you don't book it. If you don't book it, I'm not bothering. The time that it wastes and everything is just absolutely ridiculous. And I think things like that on people's websites as well, I think would be very impactful. And I think the other thing that it's actually, look, it's a Gary V thing, as all these things tend to be. But a few years ago, I noticed Gary Vaynerchuk had set up a text line, an SMS line. I thought that's interesting because one of his stock phrases is "watch what I do, not what I say." And then on a conference or something, someone asked him a question about it, and it was interesting. He said, "Well, people are now only going into their texts for important things, and you don't get that many. And when you do, they're." But I think what excites him is 100% open rate.
That's madness, isn't it? The text is huge.
Yeah, so I think email to text, text to email. There's an organization called ClickSend that we've got on our website, funnily enough, but that's a great feature, and I think mortgage brokers could do really well with that because I think it really leads itself to getting those 5-star reviews in at the end and being able to get that feedback in.
I'll have a look.
But also, if I'm a mortgage broker and I'm on social media or a website or I'm communicating with people, how good is it for them to be able to text the business, if you like? You can actually respond via email, or you could have your works phone and just turn it into SMS that way. But I think that's the next convenient factor when you're looking ahead to the next decade. because the 25 to 35 age bracket that are going to become your 35 to 45, so buying that bigger house, doing that remortgage for the house extension, they're the Instagram and TikTok kids. So I wouldn't be surprised if, never mind SMS, it's DMs that they want.
It could go that way, couldn't it? There's a couple of tools there that I think people listening will find helpful. You use Callumly, great bit of software. But if you want a diary system for the office for people, use something called Acuity. It's an unbelievable piece of software. You can link it up to your Outlook. You can have loads of different calendars, and you can do exactly what you've talked about in Callumly. But you can also take payments on there. People can take payments, can book slots. So if you wanted to say you do a masterclass or something, you could kind of write £15 deposit. Do you know what I mean? Acuity is a great bit of software. And I'm helping the mortgage broker that I started with, Kate McTurnan, and we're speaking about that shortly and installing that's a great bit of software. And then the second thing, you talking about WhatsApp, and it goes back to the time thing. On a website, you can now have a plugin that is WhatsApp. So most people will look at a website on their phone, they can hit that WhatsApp button, it opens WhatsApp on their phone, and they can send that mortgage broker a message straight away. They don't have to hold the number, press copy, save mortgage advisor, then write a message to WhatsApp, hit that button, and it'll take you straight through. So those are two things that I think will really push mortgage brokers forward in the ability of clients to get contact with them. As Gary V says, is reducing the friction. That's all we're trying to do in life. Like you talked about the chip shop, I can sit here and have a chip here in 10 minutes. It would take me 15 minutes to get ready, to go out, to go and get it, to come back. So it's reducing friction again for me. And that's what we all need to do, and use technology for the positives rather than thinking about the negatives of it.
I'm going to pause the show and go and get a chip. I'm getting hungry just the thought of that.
Just make it seamless so it sounds like we've carried on.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be interesting post September 2021. I know a lot of people in the accountancy business, the insolvency business, and in big commercial lending who are extremely nervous.
Really?
I know quite a few accountants who have not been able to set up business accounts for new companies this year, because 90% of the banks will, and I'm not talking about overdrafts here, I'm not talking about any sort of lending other than just literally a business current account. Not interested. The fee, I think you've got 18% of the country on furlough, 3 million unemployed. Furlough due to end, obviously, later this year. With, let's say, some uncertainty over the economy, especially 2022 moving onwards, you'd imagine that lenders post-September, I suspect, will be extremely cautious in respect to criteria. But that means there are going to be a huge amount of potentially, let's call them non-vanilla cases, and people who may have normally looked to go for, I don't know, product transfers.
Yeah.
Or quite often would have been able to go through various structures or formats, for want of a better phrase, where, let's say, knowledge maybe wasn't as important. How do you think economic uncertainty and what's gone on in the past year and what's come, does that change your strategy and what you think of the outlook ahead when you're looking at it both yourself and when you're looking at it for your mortgage broker clients?
I think we just need to be more informative as an industry, and perfect example for this is because when I started the business was obviously at the beginning of this pandemic in this particular field. And the people that I saw win on social media were the people that gave value about the mortgage payment holidays, because I knew people that wrote blogs and got a lot of traffic through their website because it was one of the most searched terms in March, April time last year. I knew a lot of people that did videos on social media. And although people weren't losing their jobs or weren't in that position, John Smith, who released a video about mortgage payment holiday, somebody messaged him saying, look, if it happens, what do I do? How do I cut? Now that person has given value over Dave Jones down the road. So we're always going to go to the John Smith mortgages. So I would say, one, making sure you give as much information as possible, especially when it is going to be quite a tricky time for people. And there's going to be a lot of jargon out there. Like, we never knew what furlough meant 18 months ago. I've never used the F word before, but I hope I never use it again. Do you know what I mean?
Not that F word.
Exactly. Yeah, not that one. Drop a couple of F-bombs elsewhere. But it's things like that, like mortgage payment holiday. Okay, a lot of people probably didn't know what that was, but if you can explain those kind of terms, there's going to be more terms coming. You talking about the insolvency of businesses, setting up current accounts. If people can help with that, that's going to be key. The second one is just being personal on social media. And this is pandemic or no pandemic. I think you're always going to win on social media if you show your personality. Now, I use a lot of humor. I use a lot of stupid jokes because that's the kind of person I am. And if somebody picks up the phone to me, I'm the same on social as I am on the phone. Please try and do that as much as possible. Because, for example, if I saw somebody that uploaded a post about golf that was a mortgage broker, I'd much more inclined to resonate with them than somebody who upload a post about skiing, because I have no interest in that. So by being that personal, you're going to attract people that you want to do business with. And again, that's pandemic or no pandemic. I think you should always be personal on social media.
Are there any particular social media platforms that you've been absorbing that you think mortgage brokers should pay particular attention to? In an ideal world, I suspect it would be, well, for your business, probably look at all of them, but especially for self-employed brokers or for smaller operations, would you prioritize any of them? Do you see any of them as being particularly more important than one another, both now and in the immediate future for brokers?
Facebook, it's the done one when it comes to mortgage brokers for social media, in my eyes, and a lot of people agree with me, because I call it the community platform. You can share posts, you can mention your friend in posts, you can like pages, you can follow pages. It's a very open, and some people might not agree with me, but it's quite a positive platform compared to something like Instagram, because we know Instagram is the one that's going to affect people's mental health, and that's how it's got that stigma. As Facebook is, you've got people that want to shout about your business and be local. So yes, we want to be on all platforms if we can, but if you're just starting out on social and you're not confident, just master Facebook, or get on Facebook, set up a business page which is different from your personal page, and really grow it on there. I've been impressed with Facebook for growing people's businesses. LinkedIn is my baby. Like, it's the one I absolutely love. I spend 98% of my life on there. Do you know what I mean? That I check that app 20, 30 times a day. I'm addicted to it because it's good for my business, because I can hit a certain niche on there. So if you're a mortgage broker that wants to hit a particular niche, say if you want to try and do mortgages for doctors that are on contracted contracts with hospitals, you can target those people that live in London. So that's where LinkedIn's really good. And I've been impressed the way LinkedIn's grown over the last 12 months. TikTok, the worst social media app, because I can't get to sleep. I literally sit there and I scroll through rubbish. Like, it's the best social media app, but worse for me because I lose sleep over it, because it's addictive. People scroll through it. I haven't been big on TikTok, and that's probably an area I need to improve. It is very good. You can have a bit of a laugh on there, but it's getting more serious. And there are some mortgage brokers on there that do these 30-second videos that are all about advice and all about tips. So they're kind of trying to mold that audience, because in the next 5-10 years, they're going to be people that are wanting to buy houses. Instagram is growing. Yes, it's all about imagery. I always say Instagram is very good for selling products, whereas Facebook is better for selling a service. Because Instagram, I think, is lacking, I don't know what it is, but they need to do something around businesses and create the community that Facebook's got. Because at the moment, I can tag you in a post, but I can't share a post to your timeline, or I can share it through DMs. We was talking about DMs earlier. So Instagram, yes, I really like, and it is growing and it's going to be huge, but it just needs something else, I think, to be. I don't want it to be Facebook, but I want some business orientation from Facebook to be integrated into Instagram.
And what types of posts from mortgage brokers in particular are you impressed with the most, other than obviously the ones that you work with, of course?
Yeah, the funny ones, yeah.
Yeah, and other than
the
ones that just have your sides split. I'm thinking if there are mortgage brokers that are either quite active on social, but are looking at how they could potentially take that to the next level, or people who either dabble in it or don't do much on it at all, what would your recommendations be in terms of, well, I mean, my personal view is you obviously should only do the type of posts that you feel comfortable with. So if you're comfortable on video, do video. If you're comfortable on audio, you can still do audio. If you're a great writer, then there's no point doing something you're not comfortable with. But hypothetically, assuming you're comfortable with all of it, what are the kind of things you're seeing from mortgage brokers which you go, yeah, that's a really good strategy and really good execution?
Making it topical, that's a big thing. So for example, what are we talking about at the moment? We're talking about kind of like 5% guarantee, the government guarantee mortgages. So yes, that's topical. So make sure it's relevant. Try and, it depends if you're outsourcing this or you're keeping it to yourself. Try and use terms that you would use. So if you're using the word agreement in principle, don't use the word mortgage certificate, because it's not going to give you that continuity. If they phone you, your posts don't look genuine then. So yeah, make it topical. Try and add a bit of humour to it. So for example, next week is May the 4th be with you. You can do it's Happy Star Wars Day. What you want to try and do is put content out there. Yes, we want to do the informational stuff, but informative. Is informational a word? Informative, we'll go with informative. You want to do your informative post, but then try and do something that if you were scrolling through and you saw a mortgage broker's post and it was a frog, you kind of think, well, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to see a frog on a mortgage broker's post. For example, because this will go out next week, I've done a few posts for people this week about, it's like a photo of a frog or like just a big image, and it's kind of, are you ready to take the leap for a house if you love it? And it's down the lines of, look, if you haven't got your agreement in principle in this market, somebody could steal that house from beneath you. So let us get you in the perfect position to be able to leap for that house. Nobody's going to make that association between a frog and a house. So they're automatically going to stop and go, why the hell is John Smith Mortgages uploading something about a frog? Do you see what I mean? It kind of just disturbs the norm. That's what I think you should do. And a quick tip for people, go to a website called Pixabay, Pixabay, and they're royalty-free images, so you can use them on your social media. Scroll through and just try and come up with a few ideas for things. If you go onto my social media, I talk about this a lot. It's how I go through the creative process. I'll look at images and then try and tie a post to it. So yeah, I've rambled there, but I'm looking for things that really jump out at me. And
no pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. Frogs. Yeah, that's the kind of content I'm looking for. But think about it in a way that, say, if you were to buy a new car, this is a perfect example. I was looking for a lease car. I watched some videos and I ended up settling on videos from a company where a bloke sticks or umbrellas up the back of all exhaust pipes to see if they're fake exhaust pipes or they're real. So if there's two exhaust pipes, he's like, right, are they fake or are they real? And it just stuck with me. I knew that company from the bloke that stuck an umbrella up an exhaust pipe. Don't have to go that literal, but it's something that stuck with me. And that's why I went through that company's website over and over again, because it's something that it stayed with me. As a mortgage broker, could it stay with you that you're the mortgage broker that uploaded the photo of the frog?
Indeed. Something I definitely don't do enough, and it's something that this is not an excuse or a reason, just through being so busy that I don't want to do this in a fake way. So, what I should be doing which is what we should all be doing, is actually engaging with our followers and the people we're connected with by actually consuming their content, and not just liking it for liking's sake or putting a comment on it for comment's sake. Actually going in and doing that. And that's something that when I immerse myself in that and do that, it's great. At the moment, I'm just really struggling for the time, especially some of the longer form stuff that's being done by people. I don't want to just, read a paragraph and try and bluff it just for the sake of engaging with them on social. So I've been quite quiet personally, I guess from a posting point of view. But if I was a mortgage broker, it's definitely something I would try and make the time for, even if it's just, I don't know, whether it be having a coffee at the weekend or a break during the week or something. Because when you were talking about Facebook and local, there's going to be so many local businesses, independents, self-employed, consultants, freelancers, you name it, that are going to be in that community. And by sort of sharing some of the great work they do, engaging with what they do on there, that is, even that, in a completely genuine way, no fakeness to it. But not many people do that, in that it's just life. Everyone is selfish. It's just to what degree you're selfish. So by actually being so unselfish in a way, by talking about them, promoting them, enjoying what they put on there, I've just got no doubt that you go into the social friends category. And similar to what you were referencing, when they then either A, see your content, they're more likely to share it, and B, when they need something in their personal life, they're more likely to use you. For me, it's win-win. The problem that I have, though, and this is where you can shout and throw hypocrite at me here completely and justifiably, because I don't do that for my own reasons right now. But that's what social media is for the social interaction. And if you do want to look at it as, well, what do I get back? Well, that's the whole point, really, is that you interact with those people, especially the content that deserves it, gets that feedback and that engagement. And I've just got no doubt it will come back to you.
It will. And this is when I first have conversations with people, when we start setting up their socials, which we'll get onto in a moment. But I have this conversation and say, look, it's not a quick fix. If you think, if I invest 7 hours a week in social media, it's going to bring me 3 leads, and that's the formula. I'm like, no, it doesn't happen like that. You could spend 1 hour and get 5 leads. You could spend 50 hours and get nothing. You might interact with a local company that's got 20,000 followers, and you kick off because they haven't shared your post. But you interact with a lady who makes these beautiful bags, and she's got 50 followers, but her 50 followers love her to bits, and she shares one of your posts and you got 50 leads. It's not an analytical thing. Social, okay, yes, there is figures out there, but I would rather have 100 followers that like and comment on everything instead of 1,000 followers that do nothing. And it's all about building your brand on social, engaging with local businesses, because it breaks that barrier. If somebody contacts you and says, I've seen you on social for 6 months, you don't have to sell yourself. That 6 months work has done it for you, and they're ready to use your services. They're not going to use anyone else.
100%. I mean, I do a lot of sports media work with the Anfield Wrap and stuff like that. And it's funny, you can, in particular, when we were in Madrid for the European Cup final, which we'll have to, just because Liverpool are so appalling at the moment, we're going to have to keep living on past glories again like we used to. But when I was in Madrid, people would stop you in the street and be like, hey, you're, Sean from whatever.
I know that you build that brand already, haven't you?
Yeah, and it takes a bit of getting used to and I don't mean this could come across the wrong way. I don't mean that as kind of any, I don't know, as if you're some kind of celebrity, not, which I'm very far removed from that completely. I more mean it from the point of view that people are aware of you from social, and they've come accustomed to your voice and your posts for so long that they've probably engaged more with you than some of their friends even, right, especially during a lockdown period.
It's a perfect story, and I use this a lot. Guy who I got to know on LinkedIn, an estate agent, does this bespoke content. His name's Ben Moore. He did a post about, he went into a house for a market appraisal, and the lady had a cup of coffee and his favorite chocolate bar sat by it. And he said, how did you know? And she turned around and said, well, I've followed you on social media for 6 months. I know that you drink a coffee with 1 sugar and your favourite chocolate's a Mars bar. He says that woman never interacted with any of his content whatsoever, didn't like, comment or share anything, but she bought into him. He could have just got the contract out there and then and said, we'll put the house on the market. Those barriers were already broken down. And that's why I get so passionate about this. It's the best way to break down barriers. You haven't spent a penny. You've just uploaded to social media for the last 6 months.
Do you like Kit Kats and a fizzy tin of pop, as my mother would have said? What fizzy tin of pop do you want, eh?
It's when there's a pint of Stella at 11 in the morning and a kebab next to it, and she's like, I've seen you drunken ones at 1 in the morning. It's like, it's 11 o'clock on a Monday morning, but if you bought me them, I'll drink it.
I suspect you alluded to it earlier, but what's the first or biggest initial problem that you have to overcome or solve when a new client comes to you? Based on what you were saying before, I'm assuming this is going to be patience and sort of expectations, but what actually is it?
It's managing expectations. Anything. It's when people come to me and say, right, how many leads can I expect and what do I need to do to get those leads? At that point, I will say to people, we're probably not best to work together. And I'll be honest, you're better off paying your money into paid advertising where you can get a direct return for, if you spend £100, you can make £200 back. That's the biggest struggle, is managing expectations. But most people come to me because I do harp on about this long-term strategy. The biggest thing for me is finding their voice on social, which is very hard if I've only been speaking to somebody for 5-10 minutes. So what I do is when I speak to them, we have half an hour conversation, get to know who they are. Do they like dealing with families? Do they like dealing with first-time buyers? Do they like dealing with people that are releasing equity from their property? What's their ideal client? And then we can create the content and the voice around that then. For me, I love the design aspect of things. So people will come to me with their logo and their company colors, and it's designing something that fits in with their brand. So perfect example, I've got a lady up north from me, and her colors are like a purple and there's a heart in her logo. So it's all about family, and it's soft fonts and it's soft colors and it's family orientated photos, compared to somebody in London who is a big corporate outfit. Well, it's all about the buy-to-let portfolios. It's about getting the doctors. It's very clerical kind of imagery and big images. So that's, for me, that's, once I've got that nailed, I can then create content for them. But it's managing expectations at the beginning.
And what does it look like for mortgage brokers when you work with them and help them? So that's the initial kind of consultation. What actually is it that they receive from you in terms of the execution and in terms of the posts? Are you just putting blogs together? Are you just putting images together? Are you working with them in terms of what meets their needs? Do you post it for them? Do you send the posts over to them? Kind of what could a mortgage broker picture listening to this now in terms of what it would be like working with you?
So perfect picture in your head, and this is how a lot of clients have told me how it goes. Sunday night, 6 o'clock, you've had your dinner, you sat at the computer or the laptop in front of the TV, you've got a glass of wine, and you go, what the hell am I going to post about this week? What is going on? I could do research, I could find this out. And you end up doing 3 posts. You copy and paste a Times article about mortgages that nobody's going to read. And then you do 2 posts, a quick customer review, and then a post about 5% mortgages are coming back. Or it gets to Monday morning, you think, I've got to do these posts, but I'll just chase this mortgage first because that's more important. I take that away from them completely. So I'll come to them every 2 weeks and say, right, I do 3 posts a week for all my clients. Over the next 2 weeks, we're going to do a post about the government guarantee scheme. It was International Dance Day yesterday, so let us help you waltz through the mortgage application process. We're going to do a post about leaping when you see the perfect house. We're going to do something with a frog on there. We're going to do a post around, listen, a beautiful image with coffee in the background, coffee beans. This is one I've done. Wake up and smell the coffee. You could be missing out on massive mortgage savings. We're going to do the 6th of May. I think it's the 6th. as another awareness day is National No Diet Day. What mortgage broker normally puts up a post about National No Diet, right? So what would you go for out of a massive burger, fish and chips, or a big pizza to break your diet? Bit of an interaction post. We're going to do a customer review, and then we're going to do a post about remortgaging. Have you made sure that you've got the best deal? What I'll do then, go and create the images for them, all in their branding, write the content for them, and schedule it to their social media channels. So no more sitting there on a Sunday night worrying about what to post, or during the week doing a quick post because you're in between appointments. It's all looked after. The only thing I don't do is the compliance part of it. So I'll put your disclaimers on there, but they do have to be cleared by the mortgage brokers network to make sure that they're all compliant, which is a big thing. But yeah, apart from that, I'd love them to jump into their social media channels every week if they can. But let's face it, the market's ridiculous at the moment. My mortgage brokers might not have chance to get on social this week, but at least they know they're having 3 posts that are going out consistently every week.
And for those mortgage brokers, you know, the vast majority of them are really busy at the moment. Like you say, that they've got an existing caseload that's getting, if you like, there's a backlog there because it could be, I don't know, could be because of lenders, could be because of solicitors, could be because of chains, could be because of whatever. Then you've got more and more work coming in, like you've referenced, in terms of jumping on those referrals. And you obviously want to continue your rapport with any introducers that are sending you that work. So they might be listening to this, go, last thing I need right now is leads coming in. In fact, if anything, I could do with turning taps down. Why should a mortgage broker, even if they're thinking like that, continue to post on social and if you like, build brand, even if it's not really sales that they're looking for?
I'm glad that you said that. It's to build brand. We're thinking now, we're doing all the business now for the next 3 to 6 months. Sorry, we're doing the social media now for the next 3 to 6 months worth of leads, because the post we put out now, Mary, who sees the post today, might see 20 more posts in the next 6 months, and she'll make the decision in 6 months' time to use you. She probably won't make it off the back of one post about getting your agreement in principle done before your viewing, because that's the worst thing at the moment that I'm speaking to people, is people phone up and go, oh yeah, how are we doing? Yeah, I want to book an appointment. Just to let you know, I've put an offer in on a house and I need the AIP in the next 24 hours. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. We need to build that relationship beforehand and educate people. So it's about building the brand. Perfect example, and I mention this a lot, is the Sainsbury's carrier bag. That I want to get companies to the point of, so for example, somebody's walking down the street and you see them with an orange carrier bag. You don't even have to look at the logo. You know it's Sainsbury's. That's where I want to get it to. If somebody sees a post on their social media feed and it's this turquoisey blue, they know it's Redditch Mortgage Advice that I work with. And that's their colour in the area. No other mortgage broker could open a company in that area with that particular colour, because they'd all think it's Redditch Mortgage Advice. That's how strong I want the brand to be in that local area. So it's all about branding. Even if people skim past your post, they're going to see your colour, see your font, see your logo, and without them thinking about it, your name has embedded in their head. And let's do that for the next 6 months. Even though you don't want the leads now, let's do it for 6 months and get you the leads in 6 months' time as well.
And you can always pass them on, can't you? And look
exactly,
after them. Yeah. You know, you can, which builds rapport. What are your ambitions, Chris, for the next 12 months? What are you looking to achieve with the business?
Partner up with Elon Musk. No, I'm joking. For me, I want somewhere. I'm looking at office premises. That's one thing, and I want to get somebody on board with me to grow the business. I want to keep on helping mortgage brokers. The people that I love dealing with are the kind of like the small teams in a local area who want to build their presence in their. I want them to be known as the go-to mortgage broker. I just want to help more and more people do that. And for me to be able to do that, I want an office, because I am sick of working from home. I think everybody is. But to have somebody alongside me that shares those values, to start building the team, and somebody that really wants to help people in the same way that I do. And that, I don't mean that to sound cliche or cheesy or anything, but I love seeing when I get loads of texts saying, I've had so many comments about your posts, and when I see one of your posts, I just know it's you. I don't even have to look at it. That's when I get a buzz from it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. That's it for this week, everyone. Chris, you've been an absolutely fantastic guest, and I could have kept you much longer, and we'd have been doing this in 3-part trilogy, like The Godfather or whatever. But thank you for listening, everyone. If you want any further information, please check out Social for Brokers and Chris. We'll be publishing loads of details across our website, mortgagebrokerclub.co.uk, and also across the Mortgage Broker Club social media channels with links and loads more information. Please share and spread the word about the MLC show for property professionals. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, as always, I'm going to be dead cheeky and say hit us up with that 5-star review. And remember to check out the products and services at the mortgagebrokerclub.co.uk. But more importantly, please stay well and take care.